Hello plant community, thanks for tuning into this channel. My name is Pam and the plant word of today, you guys, is begonias. I'm going to just walk through and do a quick tutorial of how I actually get a begonia to be a little bit bushy. I did this, I believe, one time last year, but this year we're going to do something a little different, an experiment, if we will, and I wanted to bring you guys along. So let's just get right into it. Okay guys, so begonias, particularly today the Rex variety. I have two here that I'm not quite sure. This one right here, which is not going to really be our primary focus today because as you can see, she's pretty much full and lush. And this is actually the begonia that I actually did do the propagations to make her a little bit bushier and fuller. Now, of course, she's not as full on this side, and that's probably because the way that I have her sitting, she could be just, she's more or less leaning and facing towards the light, as you can see. She's in a self-watering pot, but she too was bald at one point in time, and I did the following steps that I'm about to show you guys as far as how I got her to be so full. Now, for me, in my personal experience, I would categorize begonias to be like an intermediate type of grower. Not really spot on for a newbie, but not too challenging where it could be a difficult house plant. Now, not intermediate in regards to hard to grow, because I really think if you give them what they need, they're very easy to grow. I'm categorizing these babies to be intermediate because of the extra TLC, if you will, or steps that we have to take as plant parents to make sure that they come out looking bushy and full. So putting her down because she is not the star of the show. This one is. Now, she is not as full, very beautiful, but she is not as full as she once was. Let me show you guys a close look. She has a lot, she is bald. She has a lot of bald spots, and majority of that is because the leaves dried up. Reason why they dried up is because I was not up on my watering. I actually had her in a bigger pot, thinking if I up the size that she would maintain the moisture, but honestly, you guys, it's just been so warm in here. She's been absorbing it, and I have not been able to keep up with watering her. So I did, in fact, switch her over into this self-watering pot. I just recently did this, I say about like 2 weeks ago. But we also want to keep in mind that Begonia Rex are perennials, and they are grown mainly like in slopes or rocky mountains of actually Vietnam, I believe, China, as well as northeastern Asia. So I do believe that knowing exactly where your plants come from and understanding the climate of the region where they come from helps you have a better understanding of the kind of care that you can provide to them. I do know for this sweetheart, of course, we all know most begonias are very thirsty, or thirstier than our other tropical plants. And so I'm going to do pretty much the same thing I did last year with the previous Rex begonia that I showed you, of how I get her to be a little bit more bushier. And I wanted to bring you guys along with also doing an experiment. I want to test things out, you know, and not only for me, but for you guys, because we are growing things in different mediums, from soil to pumice to leca to pond. There's multiple different substrates that we are doing differently or growing differently, and I want to kind of like challenge and find out and provide you guys with this information too, as far as which one you feel may work for you. So I'm going to move the camera down below, because the first thing we need to do is clean her up, and then I can show you guys what we're going to do next. Okay, you guys, so this is the best angle that I can give y'all where I can kind of like show you everything. So basically, first thing we need to do is clean up the leaves here, you guys. I have my shears as well as my Clorox wipes. Y'all know I use this to sanitize my shears, very handy. tool if you don't have like the spray of, or alcohol or whatever the case is. So I'm just going to remove, well, I probably don't even need it now I think about it, all of the dead leaves that's on here. Yeah, I don't, only thing with Rex, I guess, begonias, you really don't need to cut them, but I like trying to cut them back too, because cutting or pruning, of course, is a way of showing or encouraging the plant to actually push out new growth. So I want to try to, she seems really like it's a pathway of baldness literally between this section here and all this space right here is really balding. So this bothers me, and I would love to be able to fill her out. But in order to do that, unfortunately, of course, I have to sacrifice some of the lovely plants that are growing. And let me show y'all exactly the first thing that I'm going to do. Traditionally, you guys, honestly, when I propagate, I'll use like my rooting hormone, but I'm not going to do that this time with this begonia, because I feel like that they can propagate a little bit, you know, real quickly. But this is where the experiment comes into play. So last year when I actually did my propagation, it was specifically by using soil. I don't think maybe soil, and I think I did some in water. So this time, you guys, I wanted to kind of test the theory out to find out which planting medium does best when it comes to propagating begonias. I wanted to bring you guys along. So here I've already pre-created this little prop box, and I kind of like divided it. I used aluminum foil so that I keep the substrate completely separated, because I want to see, for me, which one works best. So for me, it's been my experience in soil, but I've never tried propagating in perlite or sphagnum moss, and so that's what we have. We have soil here, sphagnum moss, and perlite. Now what I traditionally do, let's get the cuttings first and then I can show you. So let's see. Oh, wait a minute, let me cut this one that's dead and dried off. See, you don't even really have to cut them. They just pull right off when they're not doing well. Now, usually, like I say, you guys, sometimes plants gotta look their worst in order to get them to look their best. If that make any sense. Let me cut this off. She's crisping. Yeah. I feel like I can use this one, which I am going to use. One. I may use the lower ones. This one too. Two. I may do more. This one is crisping off. Let me just go ahead and cut her off. Crispiness is like yellowing of the leaves. Once it starts, it really doesn't stop. Even if you was to try to trim, for example, even if you was to try to trim this off, see how that crispiness, the tip off, what will happen is if you cut it off, it's just gonna, it's open wound at that point, and it's just gonna spread. I've heard that if you cut it as close to the crisp but not completely all the crisp off, it kind of stops it, but I'm not sure how true that is with a begonia, or if that theory works across the board with with all our plants. So yeah, I'm gonna get another, I'm actually gonna get a couple of more cuttings. I don't know why I'm being so strategic with the cuttings, like what classifies a good cutting. Sometimes they be looking so good, I don't even want to cut them. You know what I mean? So, kind of like going through circles. Oh, man. I'm so sorry. It's almost like, you know, when you take, as a parent, when you take your child to the doctors, and you know they're going to get a needle, you know your babies aren't going to like it, but it's an unnecessary evil to get done. That's how I feel when I be chopping, like, some of the good leaves off just to propagate. But, you know, me, Pam and her overthinking. So let's get the chop. Okay, so I got 4 right now. I may chop more, I'm not quite sure, but just to start us off. And For the soil and perlite, I'm just taking my finger and I'm creating, I don't know, like how to describe it, like a tunnel. I don't need to do it, I don't think, with the sphagnum. It's already been pre-soaked, so this is moist, and whereas these two substrates are still dry. This is a little bit more chunkier, I'm not going to lie, than the last time I did the soil. I don't think I had a lot of chunkiness going on. It was more of a, I'd say, a denser soil than what it is now. Usually I'm using my finger for now, but I used to have like a, what you call it, ice cream stick to do this, to kind of like separate it. I'm creating a divot because I want, this is where I'm going to put the cuttings at. Oh darn, I kind of like, okay, be careful when you move it, Pam. Forgot perlite is very light. Alright, so you can do it two ways. Yeah, you can do it two ways. You could either cut it and stick this portion into the substrate of whatever it is you're trying to root from. You could have, if it was in water, I believe you could have just stuck the whole thing in water and it would have rooted. What I want to do, because I have 4, I'm going to cut it in half. I believe, at least it worked last year when I did it. Cutting it in half, and I'm sticking it into the substrate on its side like this. And I don't know if I should have did that. Okay, I think the perlite is too light for me to do it that way. So, but I know the soil will be just fine. So I'm actually sticking it into the soil like this. And then I'm just taking the soil and I'm bringing it back to close it. If that makes sense. So with this, there's no need, since it's light. I'm glad I did that because I wasn't aware. Now the rest of these, we could pretty much probably, I guess we could do it with the spag as well as far as cutting. I'm going to do two things with the spag one. This one is crispy, but I'm hoping that they root kind of fast. It's been my experience, so I'm just going to take a chance and see what I can propagate from this. This one I'm going to do the same thing with the spag, because I think this time I have to dig a deeper corner. I don't know if this is actually going to work, which is why we're experimenting to see. Y'all know my saying, if y'all been watching No Guts What? No glory, no glory. So that's okay, so and then I'll do her again over here, making sure I keep the tip covered. This tip will be covered in this instance in the spag, which is already moist, but I probably will, for good measure, give her a spray. And so yeah, so I cut it in half in the soil, cut it in half with the sphagnum moss. For this one, which will be 2, I'm just going to cut it down, because more than likely this part right here is where the roots are going to come from. Now the roots of begonias, although they're so robust in growth, beautiful, their root system is extremely fragile and tiny. So I'm just going to stick that right into the perlite. Just stick her right in the perlite like so. So now she's planted in there. And this is what they look like. Now, since they're in this exact same prop box, the situation is going to be the same. What I'm going to do is, because I need to wet this, so I have my little sprayer. I have my top here. Oop, I knew that was going to happen. Let me get my other sprayer. Actually, I gotta be careful with that, but I can spray this. I want to make the soil, or whatever substrate you're using, moist. Not sopping wet. But you do want to get that planting medium moist. Now, last time I did this, you guys, I had the prop box actually in here, and it was on the floor right here below my Sansi light, and she took, which was crazy. This time I'm actually going to put her inside my home. I have this grow light that is, I'm just spraying this lightly, even though I know I wet this one, so I don't need to really spray her too much. But I have this grow light inside my dining room. I think this does pretty well, and I want to put her underneath that grow light. So yeah, let me see. Okay, I think I've been using this sprayer, you guys, so much to the water that I had in this one already started getting a little algae, but it's okay. You know, it's common with the clear vessel. So, well, am I able to spray? Is there a reason why I stopped using this? Okay, let's see. I think the reason was because it was, okay, now that I kind of wet it a little bit, it's gotten settled, so it won't fly away, if that makes sense. Let's see. I want to make sure it's wet underneath the leaf as well. I know I'm taking a chance by wetting the leaf. It could very well, and I hope not, like become molded, so you got to be careful with the leaves. But I figure, you know, I'm going to close the top on here anyway, so it's going to have this form of condensation and things, so I don't know how much of a damage that will do. Feel like a mad scientist. Just spraying away. Okay, I think that's gonna be, yeah, I think that's fine. Again, you don't want to make it too wet. Okay, so this is what they look like, you guys, and I'm just going to take this top, you know, I don't even think I can peel this off. Sometimes, yeah, I felt like that this was obstructing it because it's covering it. I don't have one without the sticker on here. So I am going to, and I was able to propagate. I think it's still going to be fine because this is going directly underneath my grow light. Now, traditionally, how long would it take for roots to develop? Sometimes, depending on the plant. I can say for begonias, it seems like they propagate pretty quickly. So I would honestly say around that 2, maybe 3 weekish range. So I'm going to try to come back. We're going to come back probably, I always say 2 weeks for some reason, but it winds up being a little bit longer. So I would like to check on her 3 weeks out. We can see where she's gone, if there's any roots, possibly make some comparison between the substrate, or we could just look at it and find out that maybe all 3 substrates work just equally well. And so yeah, so we're gonna check back and see what the outcome is in 3 weeks from now. So I'll see you guys then. Okay guys, so I said that we was going to check back these propagations within 2 weeks, but it's actually been over 3 weeks now. And so we're going to just take a look and see exactly what's going on with the soil, the sphagnum moss, and the perlite propagations. Let's start with the soil first. I'm going to slightly tug on it. I feel like some resistance, but I want to actually pull them out so we can take a look at it. And let's see. So as you can see right here, so far 3 weeks later, roots have started to form a little bit, especially right here. As you can see. Let me see if it did with this one. I don't think so. Oh, it actually did. It just felt so easy to come out. So as you can see, nothing happened along here, but there is roots. Come on, focus. Here. Is it long enough to, let's do a side profile. I don't think it's long enough to actually pot up yet. So it is rooting. Let me feel the soil. The soil is somewhat moist, but it needs to be, it's wet, slightly moist. I'm gonna have to spritz it again. I would do that. Let's check out the sphagnum moss one. Okay, that's the only thing about sphagnum. When it's clumped up like this, you know something is stuck to something. And I'm going to try to pull a little bit away. You have to be, I knew it was risque putting the this begonia in spag because their root systems are so fragile and so small. But I do want to pull it away to give you guys a perspective. Not only perspective, but we can do a comparison. There we go. So as you can see, it's a lot of roots in there. So even though, let's check the other one. And the spag feels really, really moist. Like I don't need to spritz that. Feel like I need to spritz the soil a little bit more. So I'm gently removing it. Gently removing. I don't think I want to chance taking any more off, but to give us, let's see. So let's take a look at that. As you can see, she got some roots going on. Kind of just gonna leave her be, and let me just, I want to turn these guys over so we can kind of do a comparison. So last one, of course, is the perlite, and she feels snugged in there. Let's turn her over. Oh, you see a lot of perlite being stuck, which is an indication of roots. And got to be careful with this one as well. But I feel like a strong, oh man, it's a strong root ball type situation going on here. You know, if I was to pot this up just the way that it is, I probably would do so and not worry too much about getting that perlite off. But wow, look at that, you guys. It's a lot of roots going on. Now this is what I really like to see. Let's try the other one. Okay. She came out a little easier than the first one. I'm going to shake her. But same thing, you guys. There's a lot of roots going on. This perlite feels not as wet. So I would say that the sphagnum moss, and I've only sprayed it the one time when we first put these cuttings in there. So let's see. All right. So now let's take a closer look. These are the roots from the perlite, the roots from the spag, and the roots from the soil. Now I can say this is the only one that tried to do some roots from the actual cut. Begonias can root from the cut, you guys. As you can see here, they can root from the cut. But for the most part, they will root from that interpoint that actually connects the leaf to the stem. And I gotta say, I am a little shocked that it seemed like the soil is the one that's least rooted. But I can say also too that the soil is dry. So what I'm gonna do, I'm not sure if I want to pot them up just yet. Let's give it another week or so I can check the one that's in soil. So what we're going to do is just, I'm going to put her back in the soil mix. I know I had her in sideways, but I think my focus now at this point would be just to work or build up the root system that we do have. I'll just tuck her down, but I'm not going to force her down. The sphagnum moss ones was fairly easy. When, if the begonias was a little bit more robust in their root system, I probably would have took a chance and potted it up. But it's been in my experience to actually wait with these more finer root systems, and patience is key here. Like this one is really healthy and ready to be potted up because it has so many roots growing there. But I'm gonna be patient. I will put her in here. Yeah, this one I didn't cut in half, which is interesting. I'm wondering now if we did cut her in half, would she have grown from the cuts? But maybe that's for an experiment for another time. So I need to get my sprayer, which I did forget to get, so hold tight. Okay, so now we're going to give it a good spritz. I'm more concerned with the soil one, which seems to be the driest. So this mix must be extremely chunky if it was dry in comparison. I'm not going to spray. Well, I'll do just one little spritz, but I don't really have to. The sphagnum moss really seemed to be the moist between all three, and I want to get underneath. I don't want to, for me, I don't want to make the leaves too wet in fear of mold. I don't know if that's a thing with the leaves. I think so. And on the leaves, get. Okay, I think that's enough. And then I can cover her back up. The key to a successful propagation is patience, my friends. So what we're going to do, it's been 3 weeks in total since we've did the props. We've just took a look at the root system. We've done comparisons. You can clearly see that it looks like between the three that is a possibility that the sphagnum moss as well as the perlite would be the fastest. I see more roots develop between in these two. Roots are still developing in the soil, so soil propagations you can do as well. It's just looking in the comparison that if you want bigger, more bunchy roots, especially with begonias, because it's a finer root system, it looks like perlite or sphagnum moss may be the way to go if you have the patience enough to pull away without disturbing the roots. A little bit with the soil, the upside with that is you can pretty much shake it a little bit to dismantle it, or you can leave it as B since you're going to pot it back up. The one that I would really be a little bit more concerning with or delicate with removing from the roots would be the spag. Me personally, I don't feel too comfortable planting the spag into soil when we do pot them up. The perlite would be fine because perlite is traditionally a mixture in the soil anyway. So if I had to pick between these three, even though I did say my go-to so far was with soil, but since we've did this experimentation, you guys, I honestly would feel a little bit more stronger and confident with going with the perlite solution. So yeah, so we're going to come back, you guys, in probably another 2 weeks. I say 2 weeks is my go-to. Check the root system. If the roots are where it needs to be, then our next step would be to actually pot it up and then monitor the growing habits in with the whole plant itself. This is all experimental and it's going to take time, even more so since we are in the non-growing season. So I'll see you guys back in another 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks or so. But yeah, until then. Okay guys, so this is pretty much what's left of this Begonia Rex. As you can see, as we've been waiting for these propagations to begin root, where we last left off with checking it in another 2 weeks after checking it in 3 weeks times. I had just happened to be doing some plant chores, you guys, and I noticed that a lot of the leaves started falling off and they started shriveling, like this leaf that you see right here. And I was trying to figure out what the heck was going on because it's in a self-watering pot, so it can't be a watering issue or a lighting issue. And lo and behold, you guys, take a look and see what's actually going on with this plant. It is, see all that white stuff? It's not perlite, you guys. It's them stupid mealybugs. It's being infested with it. And because of it, and I guess I probably wasn't keeping a watchful eye on it, it has, as you can see, a lot of the leaves have fallen off. So, see that? This is disheartening, you friends of mine, but what are you going to do? Change of plans. What I'm going to do, you guys, I'm going to save what I can of these leaves. I'm going to propagate them in water, and I'm going to get rid of the substrate along with everything else. What I am able to cut, I will treat. I'm going to propagate them and sit them in water. And then what we'll do is we'll come back and we'll check these, the ones that I was able to save that has been placed in water. And we're also going to check the ones that I have already in the 3 different substrates as far as perlite, sphagnum moss, and soil. And then we're going to see what is what. And we're literally just going to start this plant over. This is the downside of Planned Parenthood, you guys, but It is a much needed step in order to save this plant. So hopefully we can, and it's just sad that I have to start all over because she was growing so beautifully. But again, this is real life. This is what it is. And yeah, so we're going to check back in probably 2 weeks from this point and see how these leaves are doing. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to share that with you real quick. See you in 2 weeks. Okay, guys, it has been officially 2 weeks since we last checked this mini prop box of my Rex begonia that we're trying desperately to make full. I'm super excited to open it up because I already see some nice activities going on through here. So let's just take a quick look and see where we're at, what we're doing. And guys, check it out. As you can, when we last checked this, the leaves were rooted in the substrate. And I want to say it seemed like more roots could have been in the spag and the soil mixture. But now, after 2 more weeks, look, interesting, right at the tip of the growth point where we saw the roots. Let's see if I can pull it away. Wow, this is super exciting, you guys. Look at that. Will you look at that? Wow. And you see, look at that. The little babies. Look at that whole little baby shoots. And so I think because of this, it is time for us to pot them up. But let's just take a quick look. Now I'm trying to shake it off. I'm not really, let's see. I'm not really going to pull them off. As you can see here, hopefully the lighting, bring it closer. As y'all can see on the side, see how fine the root system is for begonias? So they're very delicate, you know, they're not as robust as maybe like our anthuriums or philodendrons for that matter. So let's take a gander. Yeah, I think all of them are, look at that. That is a lot of roots right there. Again, I'm just going to shake because I really don't want to do anything to damage the root system. But this one is really taking off. You see that this is definitely going to be very successful. And you see how it's just like 3 little leaflets that just popped out. I love propagating begonias, guys. They really are fun. It's fun activity to do. You know, I think this plant is probably, now here you guys, you see, same scenario, but there's a lot of babies that grew from the middle point here. You see that? Isn't that beautiful? Here with the spag, I will slightly take some off or pull it off just to take my time here. But as I was saying, I think that like this plant, as far as propagating, if you want, for those of you who have little ones that may be curious or you want to spark their curiosity, this would probably be a fun project for the kiddos, you guys. Honestly, like, I don't know about you, but I'm thinking it's pretty cool now. So I know if I was a kid, I probably would think it was pretty amazing. Let's see here. Ooh. This one really, wow, you see that? So for the most part, I want to say in total, 5 weeks to get to this process. And it looks like if you take a look at the root system in comparison, I want to say, and we're going to take a look at the soil, the ones that's in soil as well. But yeah, just trying to be careful because That's the only thing about sphagnum moss. You can't really distinguish between the spag and the actual root system of the plant. But guys, look at that. That's very healthy. And look at all these plant babies. That's just super exciting to see. Okay, so here we are with the soil propagation. As you can see, the root system here is a pretty good root system. Not as robust as the first two. But this one probably more than likely, along with actually all three of them now that I think about it, because this one is already in soil. Guys, isn't this just the cutest? Look at that. It's like a total of 6, 2, 4, 5 little baby leaves. 6 actually. It's like crazy, right? Actually, if you wanted to, you guys, you could just literally make plants just off of each one. But I'm not going to do that today. We're going to kind of like, I guess, put 2 planters together. Okay, this one right here is not as robust. What's that? What's that? What are it? Wait a minute, guys. Okay. You know, as a plant parent, you guys, every time we see some form of white, you saw how I got quiet for a second? I was about to go into panic mode. This one looks like it could be the wild card one, you guys. It's a good little root system going on, but she did not give out a lot of big babies in comparison to the rest. So if I had to actually categorize, I would say the best propagation between all three was actually number 1, the sphagnum moss. I would say definitely number 2, if not equal as far as the spag. And then number 3 is actually the soil. But they did propagate nonetheless. So right now I feel comfortable enough to actually transition these from out of here and actually put them up into a potting medium. And so it's a total of 6 plants all together at this point. I'm going to use 2 containers and actually pot 3 of them in each container. Give me a sec. And we're going to use these clear plastic containers. I have this. It came with the dome piece. So this is what I actually have around my house. I feel like I'm going with my gut here, you guys. Sometimes my propagation style is not always the same thing every time. I go with what I feel. I go with the results that is given to me, and it kind of like guide me in some way, if that makes sense. So here, you guys, I feel because it was in this kind of like dome-like setting anyway, that this would be a smoother transition for me to do it like this. I'm going to put soil in the bottom. Now, honestly, you guys, do you need to do stuff like this? Absolutely not. You could just pot it up in preferably a plastic container with drainage holes. I am just traditionally just using the items that I already have in my home. I brought these from Amazon, you guys, probably a couple of years ago, and I have them just hanging in my crawl space with my collection of pots. So don't go out to buy any. If you have plastic containers, you know, I always encourage you guys to hold on to those things because you never know when you might need them. So let's just, so moving that out of the way, and I have this here. I have some soil down here beside me, you guys. And I just want to put, and y'all may be wondering, why don't I just pot them up together? This is my thought process behind the reason why I'm separating them for now. My ultimate goal is to have them together. But as you can see with begonias, as we just talked about earlier, that their root system, you guys, is not the biggest root system. They're very delicate and small. And so because of that, I don't want to put all of these plants into a bigger substrate. I feel like it would give it a more opportunity for it to rot, in my personal opinion. So I think that this would have the better chance of survival, if that makes sense. And then later on, I can pot them together once they are strong. Right now, they're on a great start. Would they be what I would consider to be strong? No, not strong. This right here, let's see. I think I'm going to, and this is where it's gonna get tricky. Okay, I think I'm not very confident. Not very confident at all with this one, you guys, but that's what we're gonna go with it. Now the substrate that I'm using is slightly not as chunky as what I normally would use, if that makes sense. I wanted the substrate to be airy, yes, but not too chunky. Not yet. Let's see. Now this is going to be fun. Now, unfortunately, because I have to put it down here, more than likely, these leaves right here will, this one in particular, because I can't really put it on top, like that. So this root system right here, I will, yeah, I'm gonna keep it. I think that's the best way to go. I'm gonna keep this leaf like on its side, like it was initially in the prop box. And then this, I'm just gonna keep out. Let's see. And I'm taking I have a little bit of the cocoa chips mixed in this and perlite. Like I said, it's not as chunky as my super chunky mix that I make. Okay, so this right here, this one, again, I don't feel confident that she will survive, but let's keep hope alive with this one. And I'm actually just going to lay her down. I'll probably put a little teeny bit more soil down here. Let's see. Just to stabilize her, but nothing crazy. Oops. Kind of covered the babies up a little bit, but if they want to survive, they will come through the soil. I'm just more or less tapping it so that the soil can go down to the bottom, or so that the soil can more or less settle in the pot. I need to put a little bit back here. Y'all see? Okay, so I'm hoping that the sunlight isn't being too blinding, you guys. Again, I can't do anything about the sun, but this is what she's looking like so far. On with the next. Now this one, let's see. Actually, I want to give her more soil. I don't know about you guys, but like I said, I find this so freaking fun to do. Okay. Now we're just gonna kind of slightly cover that up. And again, she will rise like the phoenix. Okay, now this, like I said, I'm not going to shake it because it's doing good. And perlite mixed in the soil, of course, it won't hurt anything. So I'm just plopping her right into the soil. Sorry if y'all can't see. My apologies. So I'm plopping her right into here. I feel like that perlite will give her the best chance, the best of both worlds as far as moisture retention with the soil and the beautiful aeration of the perlite, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to put a little bit of more soil behind it. I'm not going to use this. Let's take that out. And then we have this baby right here. I think she will more or less be, yeah, I think I'm going to put her right in here and just sit her down. I have to take, no, I don't want any. And the reason, of course, I don't want it to be chunky because at this point, this stage of the game, you guys, I want it to hold on to moisture a little bit longer than traditional, just to really create and establish the root system, which is why I'm really putting it into this dome thing. Again, you don't have to do that. The goal is to make sure that the substrate at this point stays moist and they have the heat along with proper lighting to carry it on. And sometimes it works, you guys. Sometimes it does not, and it's okay. At least that's been my experience. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Doesn't mean that you didn't do everything right. It's just, some plants will survive and some choose not to, more or less. So, yeah. Okay. So now this is what they look like for now. And I'm tapping it, but I'm doing it lightly. I'll give the roots an opportunity to actually find its way into the soil, as they pretty much do every time we either do a pot up or a repot. And now I'm going to give her a drink. I put a little bit of Super Thrive, you guys, into my water mixture. Again, do you necessarily need Super Thrive? You may not even need it. But again, these are items that I already had in my home. So, Super Thrive is known for good root support. So, possibly give it the best chance of success. And I just wanted to water her thoroughly through. Because they just came out of that dome where it was extremely moist. So you kind of want to make sure that the substrate is the same right now, because you want to try to prevent as less shock as possible. So So yeah, so I'm just going to put these domes around them. Just to help it. Okay. Trying to get it in here without actually hurting these leaves is where it's tricky. Okay, there. All right, so the cool part here with these domes is they have these twisters where you can close it shut and you can open it up for some ventilation. So right now, I'm just closing it shut because I want it to do what domes do. Wait a minute, this one is supposed to snap? Maybe not. It just felt like this one snapped for some reason. Well, didn't snap. Maybe I have to get another top, and I can do that later. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, because it's watered, I will just be sitting it. See if I can do it. If it'll let me. I don't even know. Nope, it's not going to let me. Oh, well, no. Okay. Let me show you what I just did. I just put I put the dome part inside of a pot. I'm only doing that, you guys, because I just watered her. She's going to be dripping. And I don't want to make any more of a mess than I already have. And also, too, when I come to water her, in theory, all I have to do is just lift up the dome and water her. See, will this work? Okay. So yeah, so this will work. Good blessings, right? Divine intervention, if you will. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you guys exactly where I have them. They will be inside my home on my shelving unit with where they're going to be getting some direct light. And then I guess we'll be checking in on them in the next few weeks or so. And we'll get a good chance to actually look at the root system and see where it's going at that point. And if any decisions need to be made along the way, we will do just that. So I guess we'll meet back up in a few more weeks, you guys, and see what the next step of this process is. Super excited. I hope you guys are too. So see you in a little bit. Okay, guys, so we are now at the 2-week mark of when we actually transition that beautiful Begonia Rex outside of the propagation station situation that I had, and we potted them up into these pre-made domes. So now it's time for us to just take a quick closer look to see how they're doing. So this is, remember you guys, I did actually 2 of them, and they were placed directly under the same type of lighting situation. They're both equally in the same growing conditions, but you guys will see the subtle difference between the 2, which also points out the fact of how I said that sometimes propagations, their reactions can be different in spite of the fact that they are in the same type of environment and everything is the same. So let's take a look. She is doing quite well, you guys. Look at that. So many new little baby pups going on in there from when we last put her up. You can't really see, of course, there's a lot of soil going on in here. So you really can't see those fine root systems quite yet. But as you can see, she is coming along, and I'm not mad at this plant. Now, the other one, you guys, which is crazy, but I think she also had more of a robust growth when she transitioned her from out of the prop box into this anyway. But she really has turned into her own, you guys. And check her out. It is, I mean, she's really popped up. It's crazy, right? So again, as you guys can see here with both, see how much fuller this one is than this. And I'm glad I separated it just so that we can see the comparison, or I left it separated more or less so that we could actually see the comparison between the two. So when the root system really gets robust in here is when I'm actually going to feel confident and comfortable enough to actually combine it into one pot, and that way I can have a full plant. You guys, honestly, I gotta say, I'm so glad that I did this process with you guys. In the midst of this process, y'all can see how I had the mother plant and it was balding, and how I wanted to potentially make it full, which it would have been a successful fullness if we didn't come across in the middle of this process of the mother plant getting the mealybug situation, which I gotta say, mealybugs is really the bane of my existence. Is it for you, plant parents? Inquiring minds would love to know. But honestly, it just took over that mother plant, and I did not want to just take that chance of jeopardizing the rest of the plants in here. And I knew that I was already doing this, so I could just start her all over again. I didn't want to risk any more infestations to go on in this room when I have definitely, for sure by now, you guys, probably over 100 plants. So it's funny how stuff works out. It is kind of like a intro, or more of an explanation into life. If I didn't do this, I would have lost the plant probably altogether. And I'm just so glad that I did this. And I'm glad I brought you guys along this particular journey. Hopefully you learned something and be willing to want to try the ways of propagation. And as you can see from this entire process, you could determine for you, as far as your planting style, which propagations you feel would probably work best in the way of how you grow your plant babies. So yeah, you guys, this is pretty much the end product of it. As this plant gets a little bit more mature and the root system gets a little bit more robust, I will combine her, and I will update you guys and share those updates with you along the way of any changes that she makes. But for now, you guys, what I am going to do, especially for this little girl right here, is I'm going to continue keeping them in this beautiful dome. Just going to leave it cracked to let some of the air out. I will continue to also keep them growing under the grow light. She looks like she's almost ready to be up out of the dome, so I may just leave her in this pot, but maybe not have the dome over top. I think I may just very well do that so that she can get some air. And I'm just going to keep them both under the grow light, and we're just going to see, just this entire process to the end. I mean, well, this is the end of the process of propagation, but you guys, like I said, I will be sharing with you updates. So I'm so glad I did this, because I've really saved that plant, and y'all know how much I love my Begonia Rex. I don't have that many of them. I have one other that is really my OG one that's been just hanging with me for a few years now. And unfortunately, I'm glad that I was able to retrieve some of this plant, because the mother plant I had for almost 2 years. So she was really had a place in my heart. But I have her babies, and I can't be but so happy about that. So yeah, let me know if y'all, what your propagation style is. What's the best style environment how you do? I would love to know. Share with not only me, but with everybody else. I'm quite sure there's some new plant parents that would love to see new ideas, and that's what this channel is about. But yeah, I've yapped on enough. Y'all know how I can go. Yeah. So keep in mind, you guys, if you love foliage as much as I do, and you love listening to planty things, definitely subscribe to this channel if you have not. Continuously do what have I been saying, you guys, with these thumbs. Put them up. Keep pushing them up. It's been helping my channel get out there to so many new, interesting plant parents such as yourself. Enjoy your day wherever you are in the world. And until next time, guys, much love. I'll see you later.